Warriors. We had NFP today. The numbers were a little better, but unemployment ticked up a tenth. Pretty much a non-event. I would say that it quelled the dollar rout that we've been having. What a rout this week. Came in this week with conviction about lower yields, about a lower US dollar yen, which came home in spades, higher TLT, that it could head up towards 96. We're at 94. And I got caught flat footed, being flat going into tariffs and missed this part of the move. Okay. So, anyway, now we're getting to levels that people thought I was crazy talking about last year, even into this year. You're that yuppie's always bearish and that kind of stuff I would hear. Anyway, I want to break out some of these charts and get you up to date. Just want to get it out there on Periscope right now. Okay, so here we are. Okay. Now, if you miss the short side, okay, that's one thing. Okay, but just think about if you made money this week, you did better than 90% of the people out there. Everyone bought that 10% correction. It's the first time buying the dip didn't work. Okay, so now there's I don't even know where the greedometer would be. Probably at the end of the scale of extreme fear. So, there could be rips at any time. Also, Powell's going to be talking later on. Maybe comes in with a little dovish stuff. We'll see. Anyway, let's get to the charts because a picture speaks 1,000 words, and sometimes I talk too many words. Okay, so um, I put out on Twitter and in TGH how important 5,500 was. In fact, when I was on with David midweek, I said, you don't want to see 5,500 tested too soon. That would be a bad sign. You don't want to see it tested again. It was tested twice. And then a day later, after tariffs were announced, we gapped it. Okay. So I'd been talking about this megaphone formation for quite some time. And last year, I would say, I've been warning about the Mag 7 forever. I'd make jokes that at least in the movie, three of them survived. Been talking about Apple and it being vulnerable to China, that the Chinese could always say, no more Apple phones here. Who knows? But Apple, I mean, things got butchered. Uh, I was short. I was in NVIDIA puts. I was in B of A puts, and I got out well, but was not able to recommit on that breakdown. So here we are approaching what I think is going to be in a real important area that by this time no one will be bullish. Okay, right around 4,800. And 4,800 is important because if you look left, right, that was the breakout of the prior all-time high before we had this little bear market in 22. Okay. Once we broke out, we never tested it. Now we're on our way back, fill out this megaphone, and we'll see. I actually think there's a chance that from down there, which I was saying before we had this break, that this could be a real important buying opportunity because, sentiment, if you've been fading sentiment, you're getting killed, right? But we're going to get to extremes down here to where I would have a shopping list. I don't think tech's going to lead it out of here. It might be things like industrials that may have held up better. It could be the miners. I still think it's May, June. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I was going to show there you go. Okay, so here's the industrials taking a pretty big hit here. But so far this could be corrective. We'll see. I mean, it definitely didn't suffer like Nasdaq, right? So you're going to want to be looking at different sectors in the market. You know, maybe it's going to be the miners. Let's get to gold because you know that's something else that I had talked about that gold was peaking. We're on the verge of a reversal week here. We'll see how it finishes, but I think that we could be looking at the high for the year, putting in an outside day here, right? So we'll see what happens with gold. I'm looking for maybe 2,600 in the coming months into June, something like that. Silver, you know, talked about that was a pretty bad day. We're approaching some targets. So, you know, the weekly says that we're going to see it down here. Real ugly week, isn't that? Just like the S&Ps. You know what else had an ugly week and we came in short from last Friday? The yen. Okay. So this trade was really um, easy. And, you know, that's a word that usually doesn't apply to trading. But we took the short last Friday at 51. We took partials of 150 pips and then had BE stops. And we had this little bounce before the tariffs, but never got back to 51. So it's important to take partials. But you know what else is just as important? To hold the other half, because the other half right now at this price, you have 550 pips from the 51 sale. And now we have two little drives. I think that you could book it here between here and, you know, 44-ish, and then look for some type of rebound in both the dollar and the yen. The other beauty was TLT called the correction into 88 and a half here. And now we're trading up around 94. Had a 96 target. Part of the scenario with the yen was lower yields. They collapsed. That was something that I came in feeling strong about this week, and uh, the conviction was correct. And let's see. We'll see what kind of opening we get in Newmont. It looks like Newmont finally might be taking over the weakness. It's down about before the opening in 7 minutes, about buck 40, while GDX is down a buck. Okay, so we'll see. Uh, I'm in puts. You know, you know that there's fear and blood on the streets when people will sell their gold. I mean, their gold is, you know, bigger than, you know, that's their God. So if there's liquidation in gold right now, you know there's margin calls and everything, and people sell their winners, and my goodness, they're even parting with gold, and I think they'll be parting with gold for a while. So that's just something else to uh, keep your mind on. Oh, and remember I've been talking about I thought the crude could get down to 62. That line I've had there for a year, it's under 62. So out of principle, I tried it here, risking a few bucks. There's nothing technical here to tell me to buy it besides a line I've been waiting for a year. And who knows? I waited for a year and I might get stopped out in a day. So I did it out of principle, so that you know that could happen. But this is an area now that I think you have to start paying attention to WTI. And people say why, and I say three aircraft carriers, six or seven B-1 bombers. If we're headed into a recession and we are going to have a growth scare at the minimum during April, numbers will keep coming in soft. And what happens sometimes is when economies go bad, nations end up choosing to have a military conflict or expedition to distract from what's happening in the economy and at times unify the country. So I think that it's not a question of if, I've been talking about it for a while. It's just a matter of when. And maybe that happens this month. A lot of people are saying there's no lows in crude until June, like the rest of the stuff. We'll see. You know what? You want to get to the point to where every trade is just another trade that you don't get too pumped up when they're working and do cartwheels. And that way you won't go fetal when they're not working. And then whether they work or not, the key word is next. So we'll see what happens next week. I think there probably will be some follow through unless Powell turns it. But I think that 4,900 level, the market eventually has destiny with that. And then we'll see how it starts to act if we go through an accumulation phase. And, these miners are going to end up being great buys too. This is just a counter trend trade in the gold in Newmont. Okay. So have a great weekend, everybody. Uh, Appreciate your comments. If I've been helping you, let me know. The way to say thank you is to, spread the word. Join us in the room at TradeGateHub. So you do it. You join and, you know, you log in and you'll see things that I'm posting and Mike's posting and other members. Mike does curate a great Twitter list that he shares. And here you go. Just come in here. You could also post your own ideas. You could ask questions and hope that you're learning from us. So don't just count your pips, count your blessings.